Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm awesome. I'm an absolute big fan of your work. The Fairly Odd Parents practically raised me.
Oh, that was so much fun to do that show. My gosh, too much fun.
Yeah.
Too much fun.
Yeah, so very exciting to be
Oh,
speaking with you today.
thank you.
You are a staple in the voiceover industry. How long have you been acting and doing voiceover?
Well, I started out, I knew that I wanted to be a performer when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I grew up in Toronto and I started professionally acting at the age of 13. I did my first on camera series at the same time that I did my first animated series, which was Hello Kitty. I was the voice of Hello Kitty, along with Cree Summer. She was Catnip the Bad Cat. And I had, Toronto is such a great place to build a resume. I got to do theater and film and also a ton of animation before moving to LA, so that I already had a pretty substantial resume because a lot of voiceover is people that you see all the time in the studio. In voiceover, they pay an actor up to 3 different characters for one scale rate. So let's say a scale rate is $900 a session. Well, they're going to pick someone that can have the versatility to give 3 different characters. So you see the same people everywhere you go that they know are going to be versatile, that they know are going to get the stuff right, because obviously studio time is expensive. And it just happens to be one of my skill sets and something that I've been doing so long. And I'm also so grateful for all these like incredible, iconic characters that I've been able to bring to life. It's been a pretty fun ride.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. How did you land your voice role as Miss Minutes on Loki?
So whenever there's an audition for a character, I'll get an email. All my auditions, the very first auditions, are done from my home studio, and there'll be a drawing of the character, a character description, sides, which is a portion of the script, sometimes a show bible. And for this character, there really wasn't much information. I remember calling my agent and saying, "Can I get some more information on who she is? Like, who is this person? And is she sentient, or is she just an AI, or is she this or she that?" And they're like, "We don't really
Mhm.
know." And I couldn't get that information. So I just gave, like, I think 3 different choices,
Uh,
that I'll sit in my studio, and sometimes an audition will take me 5 minutes and sometimes it'll take me 3 hours if I want to really perfect it, because you have to know that there are hundreds, sometimes thousands of people competing for the same role. So what makes you stand out? And even with that said, often I've, been casting for TV shows, and a production manager will say, "I like the way that person said the letter R." Like, you never really know what sort of sets you apart. So it was one of those auditions that I sort of took a guess at based on the information I had, with a few different choices. And it wasn't until I booked the job that I knew what it was for, who she was. And then at the very first session, working with Kate and sort of fine tuning who this character really is in this world, was pretty collaborative and fun process.
Yeah, awesome. How would you describe Miss Minutes' role in the TVA?
Well, she is someone that comes with a lot of exposition, and she's in someone that gives information to people who are new there, in a way that's both informative and fun. They could have just picked, a voice like Siri and very monotone, but they gave her a lot of attitude, and that makes it a lot more fun to watch and to sort of delight in, as she could be talking about somebody dying or exploding, but she's got like a smile on her face,
Yeah.
right? And so she's this really fun character to play and to explore. And initially in the first episode, you think, "Oh, she's just on this screen." And now we know from episode 2 that in fact she can become a hologram and appear on his desk. And we still don't really know in this universe how sentient she is, or who she is, or where she's from, or what her origin story is. And I think that the intrigue surrounding Miss Minutes is part of why people are so drawn to her. They want to know more and more about her. And she has been a tremendous amount of fun to play. And it's also been just so wonderful to see the fan reaction to her online, because you never know. Sometimes someone online's like, "Oh, I don't like this character," or "This is annoying," or whatever. But it's like, before the show even aired, people were loving her from the trailers, and it
Yeah.
was really fun to sort of see that love for her explode like almost instantly.
What lessons has Miss Minutes given Loki, and how does she help him throughout his journey?
Well, I think initially her lesson is that you're not as big of a god as you think you are,
Yeah.
and there are things bigger than you. And I think for anyone who has sort of an inflated sense of self to understand that there's something bigger,
Mhm.
and that you are held accountable for your actions, and here's what you need to do to sort of rectify certain things, and here's what you need to do to move on in the universe or move on in this world. And some of those things I've always thought about, like my favorite movies, Defending Your Life. I love the idea that
Mm,
we're here to learn and grow, and build these sort of good karma points by doing good and learning. And you know, are there good people? Are there bad people? What's your origin story? What made you become like this? And so her role is really teaching him part of that history, that there's something bigger than him, that there's things he's got to do, um, that he should start thinking about, where he's come from, what he's done, and how he can better himself to better the universe. And she's also there to be a bit of comic relief. He's facing some pretty dire situations, some, ends of worlds. And so to be someone that he can sort of playfully learn things with and play off of is something that doesn't exist really in other worlds. She's I don't have any recollection of a character quite like her in any world. So to be able to deliver these very important high concept ideas and stories and realities, along with being this cute, fun, animated character that can have a little attitude, is this really intricate character that's just been so much fun to explore.
yeah. The head writer for Loki, Michael Waldron, stated Miss Minutes has some of the most vital dialogue in the series. Can you explain a little bit of why that is?
Well, I think that because they've so expertly crafted this character that's giving this information without it feeling like I said before, like monotone or it's shoved down your throat. It's
Right.
giving this information with enough emotion to it, enough sentient feel to it, that you want to listen to her, you want to hear her version. And so she's able to give information without it feeling monotonous or boring, or like, let's get back to the action. I find, and certainly other people have said online, like you're waiting for her to come back. So it's never
Yeah.
like, it's never too much,
Yeah.
and there's so much of other stuff going on that this little brief moment of comedic information
Mhm.
is there for the audience, for Loki, for people to learn from. And she can be given information that's very high concept and deliver it in a way that sort of makes people smile or fearful, or whatever that moment happens to be. It's just such a brilliantly crafted character.
Absolutely. I know you were talking a little bit about how you prepared for the role. Were there a lot of last minute changes to Miss Minnie's dialogue?
Yeah, during the process, fine-tuning the voice, how thick her
Mhm.
accent would be, how happy she'd be giving dire information. And then with that said, in each moment is crafted. So each reaction where you see her being swatted off the desk, they
Yeah.
probably recorded 20, 30 different versions that they could slide in and see what felt most authentic, fun, interesting, scary, whatever they were going for in those moments. And then there would be what we call alts in a lot of the lines. And then within those alts, I would throw in some ideas. They would throw in some ideas. Oh, it'd be fun if she did this. It'd be fun if she did that. And often Kate would be like, Tara, what if in this moment she was sort of like this happening? I'm like, oh, that's fun. And we would be sort of very playful and open and seeing all the different directions that we could take her.
Wow. Have you worked with Michael Waldron prior to Loki?
I it's funny that you ask that because I was like trying to figure that out. Um,
So funny.
wait, I might have an answer for you. Hold on one second.
I'll be waiting
I
patiently.
might, I might have an answer for you. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've never met him in person,
Mhm.
but I really hope to one day. And like he sent me the sweetest message of um, you know, turning this character into someone that can be so entertaining. And like the fact that they've trusted me with this character and bringing her to life has been very rewarding. He's a super nice guy. So I hope to work with him again.
Awesome. Can you tease anything about Miss Minutes' appearance in future episodes?
Well, I can tell you that she comes back, but I can't tell you how
Hey.
many times.
Okay.
And I can't tell you what she does, but I can tell you that every time she comes back, she will delight and surprise and entertain, in all kinds of different ways. And she's just, I don't know, she's such a great character. I'm so grateful to play her.
Yeah. What other Marvel characters have you voiced in the past?
Probably the biggest would be the Scarlet Witch and MJ from the Spider-Man world. I've played a
Yeah.
bunch of Marvel characters in the animated world.
Mhm.
And I got to work with Stan Lee a few times. It was really sweet. He came in to do Spider-Man, and they put him beside me. I'd met him at a Comic-Con, and he really liked me a lot. He was so fun. And there were times where he was like looking at me during the lines, and they would say, "Stan, you've got to stay on mic. You can't keep looking at Tara." And he's like, "But
Oh.
I like her so much." And
Oh.
so they would put him like
Sweet.
across the studio from me so that he could look
Oh
at
my
me while he was
god.
doing that. And I said to him, like, "What does it feel like that your brain came up with so many iconic characters?" And he said, "Tara, I always had a good team." And I thought, wow, that was very modest. And then, he was in his 90s when he did the show. And I said, "What's your secret?" And he said, "Always do what you love and don't retire."
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. So
he was a great
sweet.
spirit. So I've been in that world a long time, not in the MCU, but within the characters, and it's always fun to play something iconic and to be in a world that's spoken to people for generations, either through comics or through animated shows.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, absolutely. And we know some of your most iconic voices are Timmy from the Fairly OddParents, Bubbles and the Powerpuff Girls, and Dill Pickles from the Rugrats. When you take on a new voice role, is there a piece of you in each of the characters?
Oh, absolutely. It's like they're
Okay.
interwoven into my cells. They're part of my veins. Every time I create a character, they live in my brain. And then when it's their turn to come out and play, I can actually sort of see the world through their eyes. I see what they see, and they're a really big part of me. And I feel so blessed that I've been this conduit to so many important characters that have touched so many lives. And there's a lot of me in so many of them. Like even when you talk about Bubbles, like, well, here's this girl who's just so sweet and loves animals and loves cute things, but she can also kick some ass if she wants.
Yes, she can.
And then you look at Harley, who's like this like character that's grown so much from abused woman to being in her own power, and having these moments of like, wow, we've all done pretty
Yeah.
crazy things for love, and who is she now, and like growing with these characters. And Raven from Teen Titans, who's she's just saved so many lives, given people someone to relate to that's like them, like quiet or meditative or reading or exploring magic. And it's very rewarding going to Comic Cons and meeting people who say, like you've said, like Fairly Odd Parents brought my family together, or
Mhm,
this character saved me from depression, or
mhm.
whatever it is. So it's and Miss Minutes has definitely jumped to a very high place in my brain, seeing how quickly people have responded and loved her.
Awesome. And what has been some of, or what have been like one of your favorite voiceover characters?
There's been so many. Like, I don't know how many people can say, like, "Oh, I played Raven and Bubbles and Timmy and Harley and Batgirl." I mean, Batgirl was so fun sitting beside
Mhm.
Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. And they're always fun. Titans, we've been together for 20 years as a cast. One of my favorite roles I ever booked was The Little Mermaid 2, because as a little girl, I loved the first one, and I would run around impersonating her. And then when I got to play her daughter in the sequel, and I was like looking at Jodie Benson in the studio, I burst into tears. She's like, "What? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I've just loved you for so long." I was totally fangirling out, and
Yeah,
to play that part was so fun. I've just been so lucky, so many of these incredible characters that I've got to help bring to life.
that's awesome. And what's next for you?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I just booked another animated series that I can't talk about. And then I work very regularly on Teen Titans, a show called Gabby's Dollhouse. the DC superhero girls, a lot of my regular jobs that are still going on. I just completed a series in Toronto on camera called Pretty Hard Cases,
Mhm.
and it's a show with CBC partnered with NBCU, so maybe it'll make its way to the States. That was
I hope.
really, really fun for me to play like this mom drug dealer character. But
Aw,
yeah, I've just, what a fun career I've had.
yeah.
I'm just, I feel very blessed and very lucky. I'm grateful every day.
Well, thank you, Tara. You put an absolute smile on my face the entire time. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to the next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for thank you for letting me interview you.
Thanks.
Have an awesome day.
You too.